Baghdad, Iraqis on Saturday inflicted a blow on a political class they view as corrupt by shunning the first legislative election since the victory over Islamic State jihadis. More than half of the nearly 24.5 million voters did not show up at the ballot box in the parliamentary election, the highest abstention rate since the first multiparty elections in 2005. Iraqis faced a fragmented political landscape 5 months after the ouster of IS, with the dominant Shiites split, the Kurds in disarray and Sunnis sidelined. Security was tight given the lingering jihadi threat. 1 policeman was killed and 5 wounded by mortar shells in eastern Iraq, but there were no major incidents. The poll, in which turnout was just 44.52%, came with tensions surging between key powers Iran and the US. After Washington pulled out of a landmark 2015 nuclear deal, sparking fears of a destabilizing power struggle over Iraq, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo lauded the vote and called in a statement for an inclusive government, responsive to the needs of all Iraqis. Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi, who took office as IS rampaged across Iraq in 2014, is angling for a new term, claiming credit for defeating the jihadis, seeing off a Kurdish push for independence and steering the economy through a collapse in global oil prices. But competition from within his Shiite community, the majority group dominating Iraqi politics, will likely splinter the vote and spell lengthy horse trading to form any government. Iraq is strong and unified after defeating terror, Abadi said after voting. More than 15 blood-sodden years since the U.S.-led ouster of Saddam Hussein, there is deep skepticism about a political system dominated by an elite that is seen as mired in corruption and sectarianism. At a polling station in the Baghdad district of Karada, 74-year-old voter Sami Wadi appealed for change to save the country. He called on Iraqis to prevent those who have controlled the nation since 2003 from staying in power. Many Iraqis, especially the country's disenfranchised youth, skipped the vote, complaining they saw few prospects that the poll would improve their lives. While voting stations in the capital were sparsely attended, in some parts of the country there seemed to be greater interest. In former IS bastion Mosul, still partly in ruins from the fight to oust the group, residents lined up to make their choice as they looked to recover from jihadi rule. "I am voting for security and the economy to stabilize and for a better future," said laborer Ali Fahmy, 26. Overall, just under 7,000 candidates are running, and Iraq's complex system means no single bloc is likely to get anything near a majority in the 329-seat parliament. A new electronic voting system appeared to cause problems for many voters, with some officials saying not enough had been done to raise public awareness. Initial results were expected in 3 days. Whoever emerges as premier will face the mammoth task of rebuilding a country left shattered by the battle against IS, with donors already pledging $30 billion. More than 2 million people remain internally displaced, and IS is still able to launch attacks. Iraq has long been a crucible for the rivalry between Iran and the U.S., with Tehran exerting influence over Shiite politicians and Washington deploying troops to fight IS. Abadi, a consensus figure who has balanced the U.S. and Iran, is facing 2 leading challengers to his victory alliance with closer ties to Tehran. Ex-Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki is widely reviled for stirring sectarianism and losing territory to IS, but draws support from hardliners. "I wish for all to go to the ballot boxes to make their choice," he said after casting his ballot, alleging attempts at falsification through the pressuring of voters. Hadi al-Amiri, a contender who led Iran-backed paramilitary units that fought IS alongside Baghdad's troops, called for change, as he seeks to turn battlefield wins into political gains. Votes in Sunni heartlands once dominated by IS, including Mosul, are up in the air as traditional alliances have been shredded by the fallout of jihadi rule. Political forces in the Kurdish community, often seen as kingmakers, are also in disarray after a September vote for independence spectacularly backfired. The Kurds look set to lose some of their clout on the national stage after Baghdad unleashed a battery of sanctions and seized back disputed oil-rich regions, putting on a brave face. The Prime Minister of Autonomous Kurdistan, Netravan Barzani, insisted the political process would not succeed without Kurdish participation. No party can form the next government without alliances, he said after voting.